Today is December 22nd, 2022. My name is Joe Todd. This is an interview with Chad Moyer in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. You live in Oshaleta.
Yes, sir.
Sir, where were you born?
Pauls Valley, Oklahoma.
Oh. When's your birthday?
February 14th, 1975.
1975. Who is your father?
Donald Ray Moyer.
And your mother?
Linda Moyer.
What was her maiden name?
Bowles, Bowles.
Okay. You go through school in Pauls Valley?
Yes, sir.
Graduated what year?
1993.
1993. What type of work did your father do?
He was a truck driver. He was
Okay.
a Vietnam veteran and a truck driver.
Okay. Now, did you live in Pauls Valley?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Who is your favorite teacher?
Probably be Mr. Jackson or Coach Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
He was a good teacher, also one of our coaches, our basketball coaches, and a good man.
Why was he your favorite?
Just an all-around good man, a good example of a man, and he was easy to get along with, and learned a lot of stuff, and he taught us a lot of things, just not just school, but playing basketball and then just in life in general. He's just a good Christian man and a good example.
Yeah. Okay. What did you do after high school?
Got married at a young age at 19 and went to college.
Where'd you go to college?
East Central University in Ada, Oklahoma.
Okay. What'd you study?
Criminal justice.
Oh, okay. And when did you get your degree?
I graduated in May of '98.
1998.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Where'd you meet your wife?
Well, my kid's mom, we actually we worked together at a Brahms store there in Pauls Valley for a little while. That's where we met.
Okay. After you got your degree, what'd you do?
I started the Tulsa Police Academy about a week after I graduated college, and been there ever since. Still there.
So, tell me about the Tulsa Police Academy.
It's 6 months of pretty grueling stuff at times. I mean, you go through. Of course, it's a lot of classroom work, learning laws and policies and that kind of stuff. But then there's also a lot of, we do a couple weeks of defensive tactics where you're out rolling around on mats and wrestling and learning how to handle people. You get pepper sprayed, which is always not really a fun incident. Get pepper sprayed. You get you go through the driving courses. You go through gun qualifications. I mean, it's just a pretty intense 6 months of training. And when you graduate, you've got 4 more months of training, but you're out in the field riding with other officers.
Okay.
So
you with the Tulsa Police Department?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Still there. Been there 24 and a half years.
Oh, okay. Good. Well, thank you for what you do.
Oh, well, thank you.
Now, when did you join the National Guard?
I joined the National Guard, so December of 2006. I was a little bit older. I was going to join after 9/11 happened, but my kid's mom at the time was pregnant with our first son, and so he was born in December of 2001, so kind of got delayed, and then a couple other things that my daughter was born, lost my dad, and had a ACL reconstruction done kind of there, so kind of got delayed, but eventually I got joined in 2006 of December.
Okay. Was it the Army National Guard?
Yes.
Why did you join the Army National Guard over the Air National Guard?
Honestly, when I had lots of friends that were reservists and guardsmen like that, and they were like, they asked me, so "What do you want to do?" I'm like, "I want to be a soldier." I'm more of a doer, and I like to be up front, and so I could go with the infantry. I wanted to be infantry, and so that's why I joined the 45th Infantry.
Okay.
When
did you go to basic training?
Where? Fort Benning, Georgia.
Fort Benning, Georgia.
Home of the infantry.
Tell me about basic.
It was interesting. Like I said, I was by the time I went, I left for basic in February of '07, and so I just turned 32 years old. So I was the third oldest guy in basic. In post knee surgery and stuff. So it was interesting. Physically, it was a little tougher, I think, just because I was a little bit older and had that knee thing going. But mentally, I feel like I was better off because I was obviously, had experienced a lot more life than a lot of guys had. So It was definitely even being an older gentleman. I mean, it was still just grueling, pretty tough. It's a tough few months of just getting broke down and rebuilt back up. So,
Tell me about your drill instructors.
had a good set. We had some really good drill instructors. One of our platoon sergeant, sergeant first class. He was an older guy, and he was hard on you, but he was real fair and really easy to get along with.
Mm-hmm.
My first sergeant we had there, I liked him a lot. Just typical old, short, kind of stubby, heavy set guy, but could run forever and was fair. If you did something stupid wrong, he'd let you know about it. But if you didn't, he was fair with you. So,
What's your most vivid memory of basic?
Most vivid memory. I'm trying to think. Well, we had a drill sergeant Alfred. That was a pretty funny guy. He was kind of a short, stocky black gentleman, and he was real fun. I mean, he was fun in a drill sergeant kind of way. He would always kind of sneak up through the back. As a drill instructor enters a room, you call attention, and everybody stands at attention. And he would always try to sneak up on us. And so he actually had our back doors, and my bunk was right next to the back door there. And so he would come in real super quiet, and I'd see him, and he'd look at me and kind of give me a shh, and I'd of course yell it out anyways. He's like, "Man, why do you always do that to me?" And I'm like, I didn't want to get in trouble, and he wanted to smoke somebody, and so. That was always kind of fun. We always called him we told him he was a crow, because he'd always just show up and be gone, show up and be gone. And so it was kind of a funny story from basic.
Basic lasted how long?
4 months.
4 months.
Yes, sir.
Then you're back in Tulsa?
Yes, sir. I came back to Tulsa in, I think, June-ish, late June, mid-June, and started to drill. They sent me to, in Oklahoma, they have what they call a pre-OCS. So instead of sending me back to my unit, they sent me this pre-OCS. I wanted to become an officer.
What unit were you a member?
What's that?
What unit were you a member?
So I was a member of the 45th, the 279 here in Tulsa.
Okay.
Yeah. I was originally attached to Charlie Company, which is where I wanted to be. Had some friends that were there and stuff, but they sent me to this Oklahoma. So I don't ever drill. When my guys would drill, I'd have to go to Oklahoma City to go to this pre-OCS deal, and I didn't want to become an officer. I wanted to be a non-commissioned. I didn't want to be an officer. Mm-hmm. But they kept, because I had a college degree and I was older, they kept sending me there. And so I did that for several months. Actually, my unit got deployed to Iraq, and I didn't get to go with them because I was going through this, and they wouldn't let me out. So finally, at about March or so of 2008, I was like, I went to my major and like, "Sir, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be an officer. I want to, And so at that time, the 45th Fires Brigade, which is in western Oklahoma, was getting ready to deploy to Iraq. And so he said, "Well, you're going to get deployed." And I'm like, "Okay, that's what I want, And so I ended up deploying with my first deployment. I was actually attached to the 45th Fires Brigade.
Okay. What was your reaction when you found out you're going to be deployed to Iraq?
That's why I joined. Obviously, I knew I was going to be getting deployed, and so I kind of, I wanted to do my part and want to serve. So I was kind of happy. My family at the time, not so much, but I was happy to get to go.
Okay. Tell me about going to Iraq.
It was Iraq was a lot. Man, it's hard to explain. It's a third world country. And if you've never
You left the States from where?
Left from, so we moved up at Fort Hood, mm-hmm. Texas, and we left out of Fort Hood.
Okay.
Went to
that gray Army airfield.
Yeah, I think it's what it is.
Yeah,
Sounds
okay.
right. Yeah.
Okay.
So we flew out of there, and we went to August is when we started mobbing. Took a couple months of training there, so we actually flew out September, October, it's just right around there. Of course, flew into Kuwait, was there for a little bit, and then went on to Ramadi, Iraq, so where we ended up staying at. So,
what was your reaction when you got off the airplane in Kuwait?
Man, obviously I've never been across seas like that. You get out and you just see nothing but sand and desert and hot and wind. Yeah. It's windy more than you think it is, and it's just. Yeah, it was just eye-opening. You're like, man, I've just never seen anything like that. So.
How long were you in Kuwait?
We were only there for a week and a half, something like that, 2 weeks, and we started moving ourselves, or started moving us into Iraq.
Okay. Where were you based in Kuwait?
I'm trying to think what the name of the Air Force base is there. good question. I can't
Okay.
remember off the top of my head.
Okay.
But it's the kind of the hub where everybody comes in and goes
Yes.
out of. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head.
Okay, and then how'd you travel to Iraq?
So we got on helicopters and flew to. We actually flew. I think it flew us actually into Ramadi. So we actually flew into Ramadi.
Okay,
So
what'd you do?
in Iraq, we were in charge. We were actually on a Marine base or Marine fob. So we actually were in charge of everyone coming in and out of the fob. We had 2 gates that we
Fob.
forward operating base,
Okay,
or little base there, you know. So we were in charge of security. We were in charge of everyone coming in and out of the base. So one was primarily, the only people coming in was military in and out, and then the main gate was military in and out, also civilian contractors that would come in and out. And so we were in charge of base security, running that, searching cars. That was the biggest thing we did. Was mostly we had a few guys. We ran out on missions every once in a while, but mostly we were actually there running. My main job was I was the tower. I ran the tower that was right at the edge of the base, and so if anybody came in, they came through there, had to get approval, and from that we moved them in from there.
okay. Was security pretty tight there?
Yeah, it was very tight.
Okay,
Very tight.
where's Ramadi located?
It is kind of southwest of Western. It's kind of the last stronghold for Iraq. It was actually they call it the Ramadi Awakening,
Right.
and that was kind of the breaking point. It was a pretty hot spot right before, a year or two before we got there. It kind of calmed down a lot, but yeah, it was definitely an interesting place.
Okay, what did you do when you went on missions?
Like I said, I only went out a couple times, and it was just basically go pull out. We'd go pull out and escort. So we would have, in our area, we would have people come in to give intel. Iraqis come in and give intel or give information or for reasons. So we would actually go out and escort them back in to our entrance there, and then they would meet up with Army intelligence and interviews and stuff like that. We'd keep them safe while they're there, and then escort them back out.
Was having trouble with Ba'ath Party members in that area?
No, so that was the last. So I don't know if you know anything about Ramadi, but there's a huge glass plant. Used to be a glass plant there, and that was kind of, like I said, they called it the Ramadi Awakening because at that point they were still very anti-American back a couple years before we got there, and there was they were having a meeting, a local meeting with the elders, and they actually came in and did a roadside bomb inside the glass plant, and it killed a bunch of them, and it caused, at that point, the head sheik or whatever was kind of like, okay, I'm done with this, and so he actually, at that point, turned for America and Americans like that and trying to fix themselves, and so it was kind of a big turning point for that area because they actually had, killed some of their own people, which one of them was his son, I guess, and so it was kind of a big turning point. So
Okay, now who set the bomb? Do you know?
I'm assuming just I'm not sure which side of the if it was Taliban or if it was or not Taliban, but yeah, I'm not sure who it was that set it off. It was just some fighters.
Okay. Did you have any trouble with what we call them warlords in that part of the country?
We really didn't know. It was pretty. When I was there in 08, 09, it was pretty calmed down. It was pretty mellow. Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty easy, pretty quiet deployment for the most part.
What vehicles did you have?
Mostly ran around and still had Humvees. Had a few trucks that we drove around in, but mostly that.
Okay.
So.
And what kind of body armor did you have?
Just had the full ILTV, which comes over your head and straps front, and then back over the top of that. So pretty heavy duty stuff, and a helmet.
Have much contact with the local people?
Just most of our job was just letting people come in and out. So we dealt with a lot of contractors, Iraqi contractors bringing in stuff to the base. They've been taking stuff out, they're still building bases at that time, so we had their truck drivers come in with loads of gravel and stuff like that, and so just mostly that kind of stuff.
What was their attitude, the contractors?
Most of them were pretty good people. I mean, they seemed like they really were there, or knew why we were there, and were appreciative why we were there. So.
Mm-hmm. Any of these contractors ever talk about Saddam?
No, we had a couple of interpreters that did. They agreed that we were there for a good reason. We actually had one of them that he was born and raised in Ramadi there, and he was an older gentleman. And he said he needed to be taken out of power, but he didn't agree with the way Americans did it. But he was like, he needed to be taken out of power. He said, he had different just because he had born and raised there. He agreed he needed to go and get taken out, but it was just he just like, man, there was a different way he thought he should have done it, but yeah, everybody was like, man, he's just definitely a bad guy.
What type of quarters did you have there at Ramadi?
So we lived in we called chews. So basically, it's like actually pretty nice. They were kind of like storage containers, and they were divided in 3 small rooms. So we actually had 2 of us living in each room. So we had 2 little rooms.
And they were called what?
Chews.
Chews.
Yeah, I can't know what the actual name of them are. We call them chews there.
Is it like
combat housing unit? I think is what they stood for. So yeah, so basically it was like a storage, big storage, like the semi trailer or something like that would be almost, and it had doors on the sides, so you had 3 rooms to each trailer basically, and you had your own little AC unit and heater in there and stuff like that, which you didn't really use the heater much.
The perimeter of Ramadi, did you have to pull perimeter guard?
No, just like I said, we were just mostly there on the base mostly.
Okay. And who pulled perimeter guard?
Well, I mean, we had guys that did run the fence. We actually had contractors. We had a lot of Ugandans that were there to contract work for us, and they did the walls, and we ran the towers and kind of ran them. So.
Okay. Now, how big is the city of Ramadi?
It's a pretty good sized city. I'm not sure. I wouldn't try to guess at how big, but it's a good sized city. It's a decent sized city.
You go downtown much?
No, we didn't get to go down much. Yeah, just doing in and out a couple times. Like I said, I was mostly, unfortunately, attached to the base there. I stayed at the base a lot, so I kind of got bored a lot.
Yeah. Who is your commander over there?
So my, it's kind of a funny story. So my lieutenant colonel, was actually a fellow Tulsa police officer. So both of my deployments to Iraq and Afghanistan both were under Tulsa police officers as colonels.
Okay. How long were you in Iraq?
I was there for a year.
Okay.
Or about 10 and a half months.
Okay. What's your most vivid memory of Iraq?
Good question. Really just I guess probably just the first few times that we got, our biggest thing they'd shoot rockets in us every once in a while, and so just that first time or two, you're like, man, this is interesting, kind of eye opening. So that's probably it. And then just driving down through the town and just seeing how much destruction there had been because of the war and stuff. It's just amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me about coming home.
So came home August-ish, September of 2009, and it's just an adjustment. You've been gone for so long, and just an adjustment to things. When I got back, I'd only been back for, I don't know, maybe a few weeks or a month maybe, and I got a phone call from a buddy of mine who was with my actual infantry unit, and I hadn't started back to being I hadn't been back as a police officer yet, I don't think, or I was just getting ready to start back. I was working as a Tulsa police officer. And I got a phone call from him saying, hey, just give you a heads up, our infantry unit's getting deployed to Afghanistan. So just want to kind of give you a heads up. So it was kind of interesting, you're trying to get back to being normal, right? Get back to normal life, being a dad, being a husband, stuff like that, being a police officer. But then hearing that, it's almost like you didn't really, I don't think I ever really completely just got back. I was kind of in the back of my head, I'm like, okay, I'm leaving again, and so made it a little bit difficult, I think, just because it's hard to get fully back into one thing knowing you're leaving again. So
I'd like to ask, what was your reaction when you came back from Iraq to this country? You were in a third world country, then you come back to the United States.
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, that's just people that are here that don't know, and I was one of them. I mean, you hear, oh, third world country, but until you've actually seen it and been there, you're like, man, this is not, it's. You appreciate the small things. I mean, just like I laugh. I said to people all the time. I said, "Man, ice. We didn't have ice. You know, nobody had ice over there, so like just be able to come home and get a cup and put ice in it. You're like, man, this is freaking amazing. Like, I mean, it's just the simple things, you know. And I didn't even eat salads ever before I went, and come home and that's all I wanted was salad because we couldn't get that kind of stuff there. And it's just like, man, it's just, yeah, you appreciate what we have a whole lot more.
Now, what did your wife think about you being deployed again?
She wasn't real happy. I mean, you know, but it is what it is, and she knew that's what was part of it. So
Okay, so tell me about going to Afghanistan.
So I went to Afghanistan. We left March of 2011. So we started doing, you know, so I got back from Iraq and we started doing some train ups. So every weekend, you know, I'll always laugh a bit more like that 1 weekend a month and 1 weekend, you know, 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks out of the year. I'm like, I never got a part of that. It was always, we were always mowing or getting ready to mow. So it was always 3 or 4 day drills and, you know, and then I was getting sent to schools while I was home because I'd gotten promoted to sergeant. So I was going through some NCO schools. So I was in and out for that year and a half I was home. I was in and out a bunch. And so we actually went to Camp Shelby down in Mississippi. Mm-hmm. That's where we mowed out of, which I always laughed at. We were going to the mountains, right? We're going to Afghanistan to live in the mountains, and we're training at 500 feet below sea level. So it didn't really make a lot of sense, but a lot of stuff doesn't with the government, I think. But so we were there from March. Started heading into country, into Afghanistan. We started making our way about Mayish, into May, first, I guess June, probably mid-June, we started making our way over towards Afghanistan.
And you flew, where'd you land in Afghanistan?
So we'll end up in Bagram Air Force Base, where we ended at.
Where?
Bagram Air Force Base.
How do you spell that?
Bagrim, I think. Just
Okay.
Bagram, maybe.
Okay. And that's located where?
That's a good question.
Is it near Mosul or not Mosul?
It's it's where everybody. It's a huge. It's a city that's inside of it. It's just huge. It's where everybody comes in and at. I can't remember. I bounced on a map. I had to look it up and point it out at you. So we went to Bagram. Excuse me. We were there for a few days.
Is it Mogadishu?
Mogadishu.
What's the capital of Afghanistan?
What is the capital?
My mind just went blank.
Yeah. I get them all. I can. My brain doesn't work half time.
Yeah. So what did you do in Afghanistan?
So we went from Bagram, went into. We actually flew into a couple smaller places, and so I actually lived in a COP, which is a combat outpost, and it's called Cop Herrera, and we were in the northeast part of Afghanistan, up in the mountains in the Paktia province. And so we were, our COP was, about a football field wide at the widest point and about 2 football fields long at the longest point. Mm-hmm. It was just my company, charter company, and we had an attachment of artillery guys from the first ID, and then there was a special forces group that lived down to the bottom end of our COP. So it was about 150 to 200 of us total living on the COP, and that was it. We lived at about 7,500 feet above sea level and literally on the side of a mountain. And so when we were there, our job was really just to go out. We had our own little battle space that we took care of, and so our job was to go out and disrupt Taliban movements and try to find them, seek them out, and put a stop to them. We were pretty close. We'd make trips out to the Pakistan border. We were just a few clicks away from the Pakistan border, so we'd go out to the Pakistan border and help them for a little while there, and then back and forth.
Okay. And Kabul's the capital.
Kabul, there you go. Cool, yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're up pretty northeast from there. We were up in the mountain. Parts of Afghanistan are pretty flat and low. We were up in the mountains.
What quarters did you have over there?
So we lived in what are called bee huts there. So it's just a big, almost like an open barn, and you had doors on both ends, wood and bee hut. And so you walk in, and most of them had about 6-foot walls, so you could see over everything. If you were tall enough, and the rooms were divided into little. So you'd have probably 12 to 15 of us living in this B hut, and we all had our own little individual room. But it just literally, for instance, my room I first went into was probably, well, I had a twin size bed, and the mattress touched at each end, and it was about that squared. That's how big my quarters was. And so I'm 6'4", so I literally had to lay in my bed and kind of keep my feet curled up because I couldn't stretch out ever. So, but so it was an open room, but you had a little bit of privacy because you had about a 6 foot wall with a little homemade door on it, but you just made us pick over your head, pick it over the top of the wall, and check on you, see what you're doing. So
yeah. So what was your job in Afghanistan? What'd you do?
Like I said, we were a full infantry unit there, so our job was we literally just went outside the wire. We'd take trips outside the wire in our trucks and stuff like that, and we had 3 routes that we had, Keystone and a couple other ones. And our job was basically we would travel out down like Route Keystone, for instance, to they had a checkpoint there. We'd go out to the checkpoint, stay out there for a couple of days, make sure we'd check cars coming in and out, stuff like that. But we were there just to disrupt Taliban, try to find them, seek them out. We had some drug lords that lived in the area, so we would just constantly going out and trying to really kind of pick fights, and we did a lot. So yeah.
Who was the Taliban?
Who was the Taliban?
Yeah, who was the Taliban?
It's a good question. It was hard to. Everybody, everybody looked the same. Everybody dressed the same, and the biggest thing we were looking for, honestly, was just a lot of them were tennis shoes compared to having on sandals, and that's so they could travel up and down the mountains easier. So when we go into a village and you're kind of just, it sounds dumb, you're looking at people's feet, and of course the guy sitting there with tennis shoes on, 2 hours after that, maybe shooting at you or shooting rockets at you or something. And so we had, got into several firefights, and we'd grab guys, and they always had tennis shoes on. So really, you can't. It just depends on the day, and one guy maybe your friend one day, and turn on the next day, and he's trying to blow you up. So it's hard to tell. It was really hard to tell. Yeah.
And you said there were the drug lords. Were they drug lords or warlords? And
kind of a combo of everything. So there's something they don't talk about a lot is Afghanistan is covered in opiates and marijuana. That's their number one trade, and so
yes.
Your drug lords / warlords are kind of a little bit of both. And so we actually had like I said, everywhere you looked, it was just poppy fields and marijuana fields everywhere. And so between that and then the Taliban, they didn't want us there.
Why were we in Afghanistan?
Well, we're there to help liberate the Afghan people. The Taliban was a very old school. Women can't do this, women can't do that, kids can't do this, kids aren't this. And so we were there to help liberate that. That was that. My personal views of it is as long as I'm over there fighting with them in their backyard, they can't be in our backyard.
Yeah.
And so that was how I justified myself. If I'm over there, then they're not here messing with my family and friends, and
Okay.
so.
So did you have the same type of vehicle in Afghanistan?
We all had trucks, big trucks there. Someone called Mat V's. We didn't have. We had a lot of roadside bombs. We had culverts, so most of our roads over there were just barely wide enough for one, maybe a sport you could get to side by side or crossing. And then they had you had mountains everywhere, so you'd have a mountain wall, and you'd have a culvert that we put in for them to keep it from flooding. They'd go over to a creek on the other side or a river on the other side, and they'd go in there and fill those things full of explosives. And so. So Humvees couldn't take the blows, so they started putting us in trucks that were lifted up off the ground. And Mat V's like that. They had V bottoms and stuff, so it helped kind of disperse the explosion and stuff off of it.
Were these 2.5 ton, 5 ton trucks? What were they?
Oh, they were 5 ton trucks.
5 ton trucks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Big trucks. Yeah. So.
What was your average day in Afghanistan? What'd you do?
Oh, so my average day was our platoon was. We joked we were kind of the go-to platoon. We called ourselves the dependable expendables. So we were always the ones that if something needed to happen, we had a good group of kids and guys, and so we always focused on fitness. So our platoon sergeant was always every morning. We were the only ones that get up every morning. First thing we'd have fitness. We'd go to the gym, work exercise, whatever. And then after that we would go eat breakfast, of course. I would actually, it's kind of a funny story. So my platoon sergeant, I call him a big gorilla. He's just a big muscled up. He's a good friend of mine, but just a big muscled up meathead. And so I would actually go back in the kitchen because we just had a small, like I said, there was only 150 of us there. So me and the cook, I made pretty good friends with him. So I'd just go back there in the back and I'd cook me and him up probably a couple dozen eggs. Just myself, I'd fry them up and we'd grab some bacon and we'd go whatever and go to his bee hut. And so we would sit there and eat breakfast and start planning our mission for the day, whether it was going outside the wire or where we were going, what we were doing. And so do that. Then we'd get ready. I'd go with my guys. I was a squad leader in Afghanistan, so I'd go to my guys and put out what needed to be done, get prepped, get ready to go, and then we'd roll outside the wire and go wherever the mission of the day was, and we'd go out. And biggest majority of the time when we went outside the wire, we got into a firefight. I mean, it may last 5 minutes, it may last an hour, but we were getting shot at and doing a lot of shooting back. So,
what do you do in a firefight?
Just try to stay alive. I mean, really, just we laughed because our platoon was a really good platoon and we were very aggressive. We didn't lose anybody. We had some guys get medevaced out, but get back, but we didn't lose anybody. But they always joked. Our command always called us the $1 million platoon because they said anytime we got shot at, we were sending $1 million back at them worth of ammo. So, but it worked out for us. We didn't. We were very aggressive you're basically, like I said, you had mountains on both sides of you, so we were always at the low point. They were always shooting down at us, so we would just let it rain back at them and try to do as much damage to them as we could. And the problem is most times, whether you killed someone or not, you didn't know until a day or two later because we couldn't get up to them to find them. But then we'd always go by as several routes we had funerals, where they'd have their funerals and stuff like that, and so we'd have a firefight, and a day too late later, you'd see them having a funeral for 3 or 4 guys, and you're like, oh, that was what we took care of, 3 days ago, or whatever. So, yeah.
IEDs.
Yeah. So those were explosives. Got what the I stands for now. Basically, they were just homemade explosives that they would pack into stuff. All of ours, or 99% of ours, were all detonated. They would so they'd go in these culverts, like I said, and they would pack these explosives into them. It'd be 500-600 pound bombs or 2,000. I mean that was probably one of the smaller ones. We had some that were up to 2,000 pound bombs, and they'd run a little bitty copper wire, tiny little copper wire up the side of this mountain, and they'd sit up there behind a rock. And as you drive by, they'd sit there with a battery. As you drove by, the lead truck was one they always tried to blow up the lead truck. That way it'd stop the convoy, and they would open up fire on the back of the rest of the convoy. So,
did you have civilians working on the base?
So no, we had two former police officers that were there contracting to help train. So we worked really hand in hand with the Afghan police and Afghan border patrol, and so they were kind of there to train. Other than that, that was it. It was us. We had huge tanks to store water in, and that's what we took showers in and stuff like that off of. And we had a truck that they'd go down and pump, a pump truck that would pump water, come up and fill it. So we had very few Afghans that would come on base just because we didn't have much need for them. We had the guy that would drive the truck, and then we'd have a pump truck that come up and pump our. We had porta potties is what we used. But the problem is we had like 4 of our pump truck drivers get killed by the Afghans, by the Taliban. Or Al Qaeda, whatever, and so people wouldn't come. So literally, my first 4 months in country, I took 3 showers because we didn't have water. So we drank bottled water. You just take like a little wet wipe, clean yourself up best you could. If it rained, we had to run and get some soap and wash yourself up. We actually had to burn our own feces and stuff because people quit. They wouldn't come up and work for us because they didn't want to die. So, and so we really would. We built some cans and we would use the bathroom and you turn around and had to go out and burn it. Mm-hmm. So it was very rough. But my young guys were like, "Man, this sucks. It sucks." I'm like, "Yeah, but think about it." I'm like, "Guys, look at it this way. We're doing something that people hadn't done since. Stuff they did back in Vietnam days. But for the most part, hadn't been that way. I'm like, you're doing stuff that not many people in the world can say they did. It's rough. It sucks, but you're literally living without water. You live off bottled water and try to clean up the best you can with a rag or something like that. But it's just.
Did you work with any NGOs over there?
No.
How would you compare Afghanistan to Iraq? Is that a fair question?
It is. I tell people all the time, you know, Iraq is a third world country. I mean, definitely Iraq, third world country. Afghanistan's about a 10th world country. I mean, and I'm sure we didn't go to the big cities. We didn't go to Kabul. I'm sure Kabul's different. But like where I was at, I mean, literally, if I'd have seen Jesus walking down the side of a mountain, I'd be like, oh, that fits. I mean, it's just, there are so much things that they still do things that way as they did back in the biblical days. I mean, it's just, and it was very neat. I mean, to watch farmers farm on the side of a mountain is a miracle. I mean, it's just amazing to watch them work. I mean, it's like, how do they grow and stuff on the side of a mountain? But they do it. They've been doing it for years and years, you know, hundreds of years. Other than cell phones and cars, and those are limited, but other than cell phones and cars, I mean, you'd see one power line coming down off of a mountain, and they would share power for, you know, very little bit to have. And so, you know, at nighttime it was just pitch dark because nobody had lights. I mean, it was just, I mean, literally, you watch a guy farm, you know, they do almost like a grid system with their farming, you know, and so they'd have those little channels running, so water would start coming down from the mountain or whatever. They'd literally take water or take mud and go over and pack, close up one, you know, little culvert to push the water to another one, and when that one got water, they'd turn around and pack it and push it to this one. I mean, it was a neat deal, but it's definitely, I mean, they're not even comparable as far as where I lived at. Like I said, now I'm sure Kabul and stuff like that were a lot different, but where I was at, it was like biblical days to me. That's what I would imagine.
What's your best memory of Afghanistan?
Best memory of Afghanistan. I had a couple of good ones. So we had marijuana fields everywhere, right? Poppy fields everywhere. So we're out one day on a mission, and we went out to Pakistan border. We stayed there for an overnight, and we were coming back. And as we were coming back, we get ambushed, and so they're shooting rockets at us and RPGs, rocket propelled grenades and stuff. And so we dismount. We start pushing up, trying to get to the side of this mountain, start pushing up to clear the mountain. And so at one point we kind of stop and just gather ourselves. And so we take a knee in this field. We're in this big, huge field. And then the firefight's going on, you're not thinking about it, but you're big, huge field. And we're sitting there, and I look over, and there's another guy that's with us. You know, I'm a Tulsa police officer. He's a Stillwater police officer. And then we got a couple of guys at reserves. And I look over, and I start laughing. And they're like, what are you laughing at? I'm like, look where we're at. We're standing, taking a knee in the middle of a marijuana field. Marijuana is everywhere, and I'm just laughing. I mean, it's as tall as I am, you know, and like we're hiding in a marijuana field. Like it just couldn't make it up. It was just funny. It just kind of caught me. I just laughed at it for a moment there. But I had a lot of good times in Afghanistan. We you know got into a lot of firefights, and I had a lot of good stories that I.
What's your worst memory of Afghanistan?
Probably we had a platoon go out. Their lead truck got blown up pretty bad, blew a big hole in the ground and turned their truck sideways. And so we had to go out to help them pull security and recover them and stuff. And so we went out that day. So we come in. I told you our roads are just wide enough, barely for one truck to get through. So we had to call for another part of our unit from a different cop to come recover the truck because the truck was sitting kind of at an angle. So they came out. We were on one side. They came out to recover the truck, and we're sitting there talking, and you know, you don't see each other because you're in different places, and you don't. So we were all sitting there, and guys like, hey, let's take some pictures, you know, let's get some pictures together. We ain't got to see each other yet, and so I made a comment, you know, yeah, just take some pictures because you never know, you know, we might leave here and you know never make it back. You don't know. So we took our pictures, recovered the truck, we left, they went their direction, we went ours. We went, oh man, literally probably a mile down the road, and we got into a huge firefight. They left on the road, and one of the guys I was talking to, Kirk Owen, got blown up and killed in the. So, tough day.
Did we make a difference in Afghanistan?
No, I don't think so. I mean, especially now. I mean, look at it. It's right back to where it was at. The Taliban's in control of the country, and you know, they just came out and said they're not allowing women to go to college or anything else. I mean, we're not. You know, you're not changing anything. It's not. They've been that way for millions of years, hundreds of years, and you're not going to change it.
How long in Afghanistan?
I was actually in country about 9.5, 10 months.
Okay. Tell me about coming home.
So coming home from there was a little bit different, seen a lot more action, so it was just different. Like I said, I was older at that point. I think it was 2011, so I was 37, probably, I was 36, 37 years old, so I was already, a little older, and I always considered myself a pretty mentally strong person. I've been a police officer for many years, and it took me a little while to adjust back more than I thought it would.
Did you come back a changed person?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I come back. It's just different. It's different. I'm not anymore, but when you first come back, you almost get irritated with people back here more because you realize how much they don't know. Like how much, and not that I did something or we did something. Just the fact that people were, just the pitiless things that people were griping over, stupid things. You're like, this is nonsense. What are you mad about? What are you griping? We're such a spoiled nation at times, and people don't realize that. And so you just, your tolerance for people is a lot different. It seems like.
Now, are you still in the National Guard?
No. So I came back. Like I said 2012. I got out in 2014. So my 8-year contract. I did my 8-year contract. I thought about doing more, but both my kids were young at the time when I was deployed, and so when I came back, I ended up getting divorced from my wife, my first wife, my kid's mom, and so just figured it was time. I did what I needed to do and serve my country, and was happy with what I'd accomplished, and wanted to come home and be a dad and take care of my kids, and continue being a police officer and just do my thing.
Okay.
So.
Anything else you want to talk about?
No, just I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my time. I'm glad I did it. I wish I'd have started a little sooner, at a younger age, but.
Would you join the National Guard again?
Yeah, I think. I think it's a good, and that's the thing. We used to get a hard time from we had active duty guys on our base, and they always try to look down at us. It's like, oh, you're not active duty. You don't. I'm like, you're just mad because we have a normal life. Like we have a normal life until we get deployed. Like you guys, you live it and that, whatever. And I was like, but, and I will say this: dealing with active duty guys, full-time guys with guard guys, the guard does bring a lot to the table that people don't realize. Like, when we were on bases, like we'd have problems pop up, right? We'd have electrical problems pop up, or plumbing problems pop up, or trucks break down, or whatever. And we've got guys that are plumbers, electricians, mechanics that you in the Army, in the active duty Army, you have a job, right? And that's your job, and you're good at it. But that's all you do for the most part. And a lot of these guys are young, and they don't. And that's all they know. Or we have, I may have a platoon sergeant that's also, an electrician back at home, and so he can do multiple things, And so we bring a lot more, and a lot of us are older. It seems like we had more of an older age, so you have a lot more just life experience. And so there's a lot of things that the guard, like Army guys, that regular Army guys that give us a hard time. But really, it's a pretty unique thing. It's pretty unique, and there's a lot of knowledge, not just military. And I'll quit talking in a second. But when we were getting ready to go, we had several police officers that were in our platoon, right? And so the Army's way is always get in, get fast, overpower, super fast, because the Army, if they lose a person, it sucks, but they kind of know they're going to do it, right? It's their philosophy. We're going to lose people. Well, as a police officer, you're like, I'm not losing anybody. So we would actually train, we were like our captain and our platoon leaders, platoon sergeants like that would let us, hey, I've got a better way. Let's try it our way, And so they would actually let us do it. So when we were mobbing out of for Afghanistan, we actually went through what they call mount training, which is where you're going to building to building searches like that. And the Army's way is this way. Well, we did it kind of more towards the police officer way of it. And they're actually like, man, what are you guys doing? You're doing something totally different. We're like, well, this is how we do it. And this is how our company's going to do it. And actually, they were impressed. They're like, man, you guys, you didn't lose anybody, in practice, but obviously, but you didn't lose anybody, because there's not always one way. There's multiple ways to do things. And so that's where I think the Guard really gets better, because you have so much more diversity brought together. So,
I'd like to do a word association.
okay,
I'll give you some words and you give me your reaction.
all right.
First one is basic training.
Sucks.
Oklahoma National Guard.
It was good. Enjoyed it.
Infantry.
I love it.
Iraq.
Not a big fan. I hated it. It was pretty boring.
Afghanistan.
Loved it.
Taliban.
They're bad people. Need to go away.
IED.
They suck. It's the quiet killer.
Firefight.
Fun.
Bill Clinton.
Oh, I really don't have either way on them. Just another president.
George Bush.
Just another president.
Okay. How do you want to be remembered?
Probably just as I want to be remembered as a good, God-fearing countryman that loves his family and loves his country.
Well, sir, this is an excellent interview.
I appreciate it.
I want to thank you for your service and thank you for the interview.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
And again, this is December 22nd, 2022. My name is Joe Todd. This has been an interview with Chad Moyer in Bartlesville, Oklahoma.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's off.